dealing with animals, explain the differences you see it between the hair raising on the back of your neck and adrenaline.
Yeah, look, I mean, adrenaline, I suppose, when I'm out in the bush with a lion and we are looking at something or going chasing or walking, or there's that adrenaline. It's a I suppose kind of likened to an athlete before a race or before a MotoGP or something like that, you know. When you ask them, is this fear? Are you fearful of riding your motorcycle? Well, I think they're professional in what they're doing. So it's not I'm not fearful of riding motorbikes. I know I'm good at riding motorbikes. But there is this anticipation, I suppose, of this, build up. And then once it's over, I suppose once the race goes on, then that dissipates, That's different to the hair on your neck standing on end and your gut saying, this is wrong.
What are rules you've broken in terms of animal interaction?
Yeah, well, when I started working with the lions, a lot of the people would say to me, Kevin, you need to stop doing certain things. And I'm like, well, what? Well, you shouldn't really be sitting down with them like you do, because they can see you as being potential prey. All these theories and myths about the behavior. You shouldn't look them in the eyes. And I was like, why not? They look at each other in the eyes and they don't see each other as threats. And you start to understand that these myths have come about because people have seen a lion do something, and then they've come up with this myth that that's what lions do. If I stare at a male lion who's got some meat in his possession, that's a threat. Just as if I stared at you at a bar and you had a girl next to you who you were going out with, and I leaned in and gave you this mean look, you would see that as a threat. Eye contact's good, but staring's bad, in that context. Or if I stare at a lion in the same vein who's got a girl, she's an estrus, and he's protective over her, and I'm staring at him. I mean, well, hello. If you truly had a good bond and a relationship with an animal, why can't you do with that animal what it does with another lion in its pride?
Elaborate, if you could, on how you believe your gift is knowing how far and when to push the boundaries.
Yeah, look, I often say to people the skill set, I suppose, in working with animals is not so much knowing when to work with an animal when the animal's willing. It's more in knowing when not to interact with the animal. I think that's the skill. I can see that she's not happy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, push the boundary, go and do it again, and then see what she does. I know, because I used to do that when I was 23, 24, learning about lions and lions' behavior. That meant nothing to me. So when she did that, I would touch her foot again, and then she would go, oh, okay, that means that. You take somebody from the city and you bring them back to the bush. And the first night they're in the bush, they are terrified. They hear all these sounds that they've never heard before, and oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure a lion was outside my window last night, and, crikey, everything's trying to eat them. And then, you kind of go, guys, it's not like that. This is not what animals are. It's not what their intentions are. And then a few weeks go by, and they're suddenly not hearing any of the noises anymore. It's not because the noises aren't there. It's because they're starting to acclimatize back to that. And then when you bring them out into the bush and they start going on bushwalks, they start to see things that they never saw before. And they start to smell things that they never smelled before, and hear things they never heard before. And that's part of the whole experience.
And why do you believe people can't interact with animals in the way you do? In some cases, because they come into it with almost, I guess, an agenda.
Yeah, well, I think that is the problem, is that we've been so long apart from animals that we have this human arrogance, I suppose, where we think we can just come in. I see it all the time with people and their dogs. So there's a dog. I'm a human. I come in. It's my right to pat you on the head. So you come in, and, hi boy, all doing this big domineering kind of attitude, and then doof, doof, doof on his head, and he's like looking at you like, who the hell are you? As opposed to being less forceful and coming up to that animal and going down to its level and putting your hand out and being submissive in your approach. Less forceful. And the animal's like, welcome. That's nice.
Why no gun, no stick, no pepper spray?
Nowadays I have to carry pepper spray because of insurance, but when I was younger I didn't, and because I felt no gun, no stick, because I feel that I need to be able to deal with the animal on its terms. I also believe that crutches can, put you in situations that you wouldn't typically put yourself in if you didn't have that crutch. So it's almost like that Alex Hanold, who's the free climber. I love the guy. And he, when I watched his that documentary on him,
Free Solo,
I was like, I relate so much to you.
How so?
In all of the thinking and the way he approaches, and the girlfriend thinking is nuts because now it's time to stop, and suppressing why he does what he does, and anyone who looks at him, and I can look at him and say, you're nuts, because I don't want to go and climb that mountain and then try and go across that crevice, but I get why you do it. It's not for me. And he'll, speaking to me, get why I do what I do with lions, but he wouldn't want to do it necessarily either. It's a psychology of, I suppose, I don't know, I feel alive. When I was younger, and I must always talk about the evolution, because you evolve. I mean, I've been doing this over 2 decades, and why I worked with lions back then and why I work with lions today, there's still similarities, there's still reasons that remained the same, but there's some things that have changed. Back then, I was the first to admit that I was, initially the interactions with Tau Napoleon were about me. And so, yeah, good, you're getting something out of it too, so shut up. You know what I'm saying? But then I realized, no, Kev, that's not really, it's a mutual thing, and you get something, but they're also living this life in a captive environment, and they really are enjoying this different alternative way.